Just let me give the sum up of the part that we read earlier, and then we'll continue for the next part. You have seen the very beginning, we discussed about the meaning of lost spring, that here spring period refers to the childhood period of the children, the slum children especially, who are leading a life in poverty and exploitation, and they are not able to enjoy their childhood period. That's why it is told as the lost spring. Spring here refers to their childhood period. And in the very beginning, I told you that the chapter is giving us the problem of social problem, that is of child labor. Okay. Now we have read in the very beginning that our author Annie's Jung used to cross an area and she used to meet some of the slum children. And one day she asked one of the boy why he was scrounging in the garbage dumps, कि garbage के dump ढेर के ऊपर वो क्या search कर रहा है. And then we are told about the history of that boy, that they have shifted from Dhaka when there were storms, and the boy did not remember anything. It was only told by her mother, his mother, and they left that area in the hope of looking for gold in the big city. That means looking for something precious in the big city where they are now, that is the area of Delhi, Simapuri. And then we are told about that boy's desire, that he had a strong desire to go to school, because one day when the author passed from that area, she asked that boy, why doesn't he go to school? And he answered that there was no school in the nearby area, and she offered that if she opened a school, whether he would go. And the boy said yes. And after a few days, the boy came running to the author when she crossed that area, asking if the school was ready. But then the author realized that it was the promise which she has made and was not able to fulfill. And she realized that these type of problems happen with these slum children or with the poor class people every day, because many promises are made with them and those promises are not fulfilled. Then we are told about the habit of these children, that they don't want to wear chappals. It has become a tradition. And our author gives one reason, that it has become a tradition not due to the lack of poverty, but they have made it a tradition. They don't want to wear it. And we were given different views by the children. One says that a mother has kept it on the shelf and she does not give it. The second says if he gets, even then he would not wear. And the third has a dream to wear the shoes. So in this way, we were told a story about a man from Udipi, which gives the significance of this idea that the life of many people have changed with the passage of time. As we are given the example of a priest there, his son is now wearing shoes, socks, and going in proper uniform to the school. But these rag pickers, or these children who belong to the slum area, they still don't have shoes or chappals on their feet, because these people, they feel that it is important, or it is must to have their meal than to spend the money on these things. So the author feels that they are living in the perpetual state of poverty and they do not want to spend money on these things. Now coming to their area, next paragraph, that is going to us give the description about the area where they live, about the Simapuri area in Delhi where they are living. Coming to this paragraph on page 15, my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri. So in this way, the author became acquainted with these children because she used to meet these children daily when she crossed that area. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers, ये जो barefoot rag pickers means ये children, ये बच्चे जो थे slum area के, जो कि नंगे पांव घूम रहे होते थे, उनके साथ कहती मेरी अच्छी जान पहचान हो गई. And this one day led me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Please underline this line, which gives you a metaphor here. that she went to that area of Simapuri, a place on the periphery, that means on the outer area, outer skirts area of Delhi, and it was yet miles away from it metaphorically. Why it is said? Because this area is considered in Delhi, but still it is far away from Delhi. What is the metaphor used here? Because Delhi, which is the capital of India, you all know, and it is known for its development. इस एरिया में बहुत ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट हुई है, बहुत ज़्यादा इंडस्ट्रीज, कोठियाँ और बहुत से एरियाज जो हैं डेवलप्ड हो गए हैं, पॉश एरियाज हैं, लेकिन अभी भी ये एरिया जो सीमापुरी एरिया है, आउटर एरिया में है, दैट हैज़ नॉट डेवलप्ड. इसमें कोई डेवलपमेंट नहीं है. दो इट इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ दिल्ली, बट स्टिल not having any facilities, any type of privileges or any type of development in that area, which is in the main city, which is in the main area of Delhi. That's why the writer says a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. कि metaphorically अगर बात की जाए तो ये मीलों दूर है, मतलब उस डेवलपमेंट से ये बहुत दूर है जो कि एक्चुअल में दिल्ली में हो रही है. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. और इस एरिया में जो रहने वाले लोग हैं, they are called as squatters. Squatters means wanderers, इधर उधर घूमते रहते हैं. They don't have any permanent places to live, and these people have come from Bangladesh in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. We are told in the very beginning also that they have come from Dhaka. Due to the storms, their fields and their houses were destroyed, and they came in this area in the hope of getting something good employment or good money. So Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Wilderness here means an underdeveloped area. This was still an underdeveloped area. It still is, but it is no longer empty. कि उस टाइम पे भी कहते ये एक अंडर डेवलप एरिया था और अभी भी ये ऐसा ही है. नो डेवलपमेंट हैज टेकन प्लेस, बट इट इज नो लॉन्गर एम्प्टी. लेकिन अब ये खाली एरिया नहीं है. स्टार्टिंग में ये क्या था? खाली एरिया था. जब ये लोग आकर यहाँ रहना शुरू किया था इन्होंने, देन इट वाज an empty area, but now it is not empty. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. Here in this area of Simapuri, the structures of mud means मिट्टी से कच्चे घर बने हुए हैं, with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. टीन की या टेराप्लेन जैसे थिक तरपाल सी होती है, थिक क्लॉथ होता है, उसके इनकी रूफ्स बनी हुई हैं. And there is no facility of sewerage and drainage and running water. More than 10,000 rag pickers are living in this area. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. So see the condition, how these people are living in this area. They have lived here for more than 30 years. 30 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए इनको यहाँ रहते हुए. But without an identity, they don't have any identity, they don't have any recognition. Without permit, no permission is there to live in that area, but with ration cards. But they are provided with the ration cards because that get their names on the voter list. जिससे कि उनके नाम जो है वोटर लिस्ट में ऐड हो गए हैं. एंड इट enables them to buy grain, जिससे कि उनको अनाज खरीदने में, ग्रेन खरीदने में हेल्प जो है वो मिल रही है. यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, यू माइट हैव रेड somewhere about the ration cards कि आजकल इतनी इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है because you people have voter cards, you people have Aadhaar card which is linked everywhere. Earlier, in the earlier times, olden times, there were ration cards. That was the only identity. कि हर सिटीजन के पास एक घर में एक राशन कार्ड होता था हेड के नाम से. उसमें जितने मेंबर्स होते थे उनके नेम्स नोट किए जाते थे एंड अकॉर्डिंगली दे वर प्रोवाइडेड ग्रेन. कि अगर घर में 4 मेंबर्स हैं और सपोज यू आर गेटिंग शुगर इन द राशन डिपो, देयर वर फेयर प्राइस शॉप्स. आपने कहीं सोशल में ये पढ़ा होगा जरूर. फेयर प्राइस शॉप्स होती जिनको राशन डिपो कहा जाता था. तो वहाँ पर नंबर ऑफ मेंबर्स के अकॉर्डिंगली उनको ईटेबल्स जो थी, कोई पल्सेस हैं, कोई ग्रेन्स हैं, कोई शुगर है, फ्लोर है, ऐसी चीज़ें जो थी वो प्रोवाइड की जाती थी. सो नॉ डेज दैट हैज़ stopped. No ration cards are there in the posh area in the cities, but in the villages or in the backward areas still maybe it is going on. Now we people have Aadhaar card and voter cards only. लेकिन इन लोगों के पास कहते हैं इनको राशन कार्ड प्रोवाइड कर दिए जाते थे उस टाइम पे, so that their name can be entered on the voter list and they are must be able to get the grains, कि अपने वो अनाज या जो भी उनको राशन कार्ड राशन शॉप से राशन कार्ड के थ्रू मिल रहा था वो उसको लेने के काबिल हो जाएं. अदरवाइज दे डोंट हैव एनी आइडेंटिटी, they don't have any permit to live in that area, but they were living there more than 30 years. Food is more important for survival than an identity. Please underline this line. These people think that food is more important for survival than an identity, कि उनकी पहचान की बजाय पहचान पत्र उनके पास कोई ऐसा हो उससे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी उनके क्या था, food. So their names were entered in the voter list and they were getting the grains. It was enough for them. See the next line given in the inverted commas. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in the tattered sarees, when asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. So this was the statement given by a group of women who were in tattered sarees. Tattered means torn sarees, फटे हुए साड़ीज पहनी हुई थी जिन्होंने, उनमें से एक कुछ ग्रुप ऑफ वुमेन क्या उसको जवाब देती हैं ऑथर को जब उसने पूछा कि why you left your beautiful land of green fields and rivers in ढाका बांग्लादेश में, आप अपनी अच्छी फील्ड्स अच्छे खेत घर छोड़कर क्यों आए. तो उनमें से ग्रुप ऑफ वुमेन उनको क्या आंसर देती है कि इफ एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वी कैन फीड आवर फैमिलीज, कि अगर दिन के एंड में हम अपनी फैमिलीज को खाना खिलाने के काबिल हो जाते हैं, एंड वी गो टू बेड विदाउट एन एकिंग स्टमक, कि अगर हम बिना दर्द वाले पेट के बेड पे जाते हैं, मतलब खाना खा कर जाते हैं, खाली पेट नहीं, खाली पेट है तो एक होगी ना स्टमक पेन होगी, खाली पेट भूख है लगी हुई है आपको खाना नहीं मिल रहा, तो द चिल्ड्रन मस्ट बी फीलिंग stomach ache. So in this way the ladies said that if at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. So they said that we will prefer to live here where we are getting at least food for our families, and that's why we have left that area where we were not able to get any grains. So this was the answer given by a group of women who were in torn clothes to the author when she asked about leaving their beautiful land of green fields and rivers in Dhaka. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that became transit homes. So these people, what they do, wherever they find food, जहाँ पर उनको खाना मिलता था, खाने की availability नजर आती थी, they pitch their tents, वो अपने tents लगाकर they live there in the transit homes. Transit means temporary homes. Permanent घर नहीं थे, जैसे कि no maids होते थे, जहाँ देखा खाना available है वहाँ पर उन्होंने अपने tent लगा लिए and they started living there. Children grow up in them becoming partners in survival, and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. और उनके बच्चे जो थे they also became their partners, they become their partners in survival, मतलब जिंदा रखने के लिए बच्चों की उनको हेल्प लेनी पड़ती थी to make them grow, because they alone cannot do anything for survival, उनके पास कोई ऐसी रोजी रोटी का साधन नहीं था. That's why they have to take the help of the children also. So children grow up in them becoming partners in survival. Survival means जिंदा रहने के लिए उनको जो रोजी रोटी कमानी पड़ती थी उसके लिए उनको अपने बच्चों को भी इस काम में लगाना पड़ता था. That's why the children were searching on the garbage dumps something which they could sell in the market and get the money out of that. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Underline this statement. This line comes in the form of questions many times. Why we can say that survival in Simapuri means rag picking? Because there was no other work. There was no other employment for the people. So they have to go for the rag picking. This was the only alternative for their survival. So the children go in the garbage dumps and they search the things and survive on that. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. because they have been doing it for many years. As we are told that 30 years have passed living them there, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. It has taken the form of a fine art. एक बहुत अच्छा art बन गया था उनके लिए rag picking. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. Please underline this statement. For those people who are living in the area of Simapuri, garbage to them is gold because they are getting precious things from that garbage. That's why it is considered gold. Because garbage में से ही उनको कुछ चीजें मिलती थी, which they sell in the market, and then they get the money out of that and they get their food. So that garbage was gold for them. It is their daily bread. ये उनके लिए एक रोज की ब्रेड थी, एक खाने का एक साधन था. A roof over their heads, that was helping them to have a roof on their head also, even if it is a leaking roof, कि चाहे वो roof जो है वो लीक कर रही हो. मतलब पक्के घर नहीं थे, कच्चे घर थे उनके पास, लेकिन वो किस चीज से सर्वाइव कर रहे थे? ड्यू टू द गार्बेज ओनली, बिकॉज दे वर गेटिंग द थिंग्स फ्रॉम द गार्बेज विच वॉज गिविंग दम मनी, एंड इन दिस वे दे वर सर्वाइविंग. बट फॉर ए चाइल्ड इट इज इवन मोर. But it is something else, something more for the children, because when they go on searching in the garbage dumps, they got excited. One day they get something, the next day they got more excited to get something more. So in this way, it was an adventurous activity for the children. That's why it is considered as something more, as even more for the children. For the adults, it was a gold because they were getting the livelihood, they were getting the money by selling those things for the survival. And for the children, it was even more because they were getting more excited. Due to excitement, they keep on searching on the garbage. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. See the statement given by Sahib. Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. उसकी आंखों में रोशनी थी. और वो क्या बता रहा है ऑथर एनीस जंग को? He says that I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. That shows their enthusiastic nature and their excitement कि अगर एक दिन उनको 1 रुपया मिला है तो वो दूसरे दिन इस होप में वहाँ पर फिर से जाते थे गार्बेज डंप में सर्च करने के लिए कि अगले दिन हो सकता है उनको 10 rupee नोट मिल जाए. Sahib says his eyes lighting up. He was very happy, showing this excitement and this happiness to the author. He says, I may get 10 rupee note. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is hope of finding more. कि अगर एक दिन आपको वहाँ सिल्वर कॉइन मिल रहा है गार्बेज में, तो आप इस होप के साथ अगले दिन फिर जाओगे that you may get gold coin. मतलब अगर उसको कुछ अच्छी चीज मिली है एक दिन, तो अगले दिन वो उसी होप में फिर से जाते थे. They don't stop scrounging, means searching. For there is hope for finding more, क्योंकि उनको उम्मीद होती थी, hope होती थी that they would find more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. So it tells us that it has a different meaning for the children. It was having a meaning for the parents because it was a gold for them. They were getting something in the garbage dump through which they can get their livelihood, they can get survive. But it has a different meaning for the children than their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. Please underline this statement. We have already explained that children were full of wonderful activities, adventurous activities. They were very excited. So it is wrapped in wonder. बच्चों के लिए एक ये wonderful activity थी, excited activity थी, that they go and search on the garbage dumps. But for the elders, it is a means of survival only. They were getting something from those garbage dumps which could make them survive. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. Now, one day again, when the author was crossing that area in the winter morning, she saw Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club. There was a club in which people used to come for playing tennis, and it was having fence. Fence means चार दीवारी थी उसकी बनी हुई, and she noticed Sahib standing there by the fence gate of the club. and he was watching two young men who were dressed in white. They were playing tennis, and he hums, जैसे म्यूजिकल टोन में वो बीज की आवाज को बोला जाता है ना, हम्स, इन दैट मीन्स नॉट वेरी फ्रीली और ऊंची आवाज में, बड़ा धीमे से उसको कहता है, आई लाइक द गेम. He hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. He was very much content, means satisfied, to watch this game standing behind the fence. वो खुद गेम को नहीं खेल सकता था, लेकिन उस दूसरे लोगों को गेम खेलते हुए देखकर ही वो कंटेंट था, वो संतुष्ट था, सेटिस्फाइड था. I go inside when no one is around, he admits, और वो ऑथर को बताता है that he goes into the ground when no one is there, कि जब कोई प्लेयर अंदर नहीं होते हैं, आसपास कोई नहीं होता, then he used to go inside. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing because the gatekeeper was a good man and he allows him to go inside and use the swings. Otherwise, when the players are there, he does not go inside and he just keeps on watching standing near the gate. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. And then the author notices that Sahib is wearing tennis shoes that were strange and that were having faded color and were not matching with his shirt and shorts, कि उसकी ड्रेस के साथ मैच नहीं कर रहे थे. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. कि जैसे ही ऑथर ने उसके शूज की तरफ देखा तो he gave the explanation that someone gave these shoes to him, किसी ने उनको वो शूज दिए थे. And he says in the manner of an explanation, the fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy. What was the fact? That those were the discarded shoes. Discarded means leftover shoes. किसी rich लड़के ने उन shoes को फेंक दिया था, उसको जरूरत के नहीं थे. Who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them, क्योंकि उनमें एक shoe में hole था, जिस वजह से उसने उनको पहनने से refuse कर दिया था. And that hole does not bother him. लेकिन साहिब के लिए उस शू में होल होना कोई चिंता का विषय नहीं था, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. He was wearing those shoes which were discarded by someone, some rich boy, because he had taken some new shoes because there was a hole in one of the shoes. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. Please underline this line. Again, it turns into a question many times. कि उस लड़के के लिए जिसने कभी शूज पहने ही नहीं थे, फॉर वन हु हैज वॉक्ड बेयरफुट, जो कि नंगे पांव चलता था, इवन शूज विद अ होल इज अ ड्रीम कम ट्रू, कि उसके लिए ऐसे शूज पहनना जिसमें कि होल था, इट वाज जस्ट अ ड्रीम फॉर हिम दैट हैज कम ट्रू, कि एक ऐसा सपना था उसका जो कि सच हो गया था. सो ही वाज हैप्पी विद दैट ओनली. बट द गेम ही इज वॉचिंग सो इंटेंटली इज आउट ऑफ हिज रीच. But the game, tennis game, that is out of his reach. He cannot go inside that club and play that game. He was only feeling satisfied by watching this game intently, means very closely, standing at the gate. He was just watching the game and was very much satisfied with that watching only, because he could not go and play that game. It was out of his reach, उसकी पहुंच से बाहर थी. But the shoes which he has got, some rich boy, discarded shoes of some rich boy with a hole in one of them, that was just like a dream coming true. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. See, one day, the next paragraph tells us about Sahib, when one day author again meets this boy Sahib. He is on his way to the milk booth. Now he is going to a milk booth, जहाँ पर milk sell किया जाता है. In his hand is a steel canister. उसके हाथ में एक स्टील का कंटेनर है, कनिस्टर, एक बर्तन पकड़ा हुआ है बड़ा सा. And he tells the author, I now work in a tea stall down the road. क्या बताता है उसको? Points towards a distance area जहाँ पर कि वो स्टॉल था, और बता रहा है इसको कि now I work in a tea stall. Earlier he used to work as a rag picker. Now he tells the author that he is now working in the tea stall and I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. And now he is being paid regularly. Regularly इसको 800 rupees मिल रहे हैं, and all meals, all my meals, this that means he's getting all 3 times meal, 3 time का खाना भी इसको मिल रहा है वहाँ पर. Does he like the job? I ask. The author was very much surprised. So she asked, she said, does you like the job? Do you like this job? He says, I asked, his face I see has lost the carefree look, because the author notices this thing, that now his face was not carefree, giving carefree look. That means he was worried now. अब उसके चेहरे के ऊपर चिंता थी, झलक रही थी एक चिंता की लहर जो कि पहले नहीं थी. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. कि जब वो एज ए रैग पिकर घूमता हुआ ऑथर को मिलता था तो क्या नोट करती थी कि उसके कंधे के ऊपर एक प्लास्टिक बैग होता था. दैट वाज वेरी लाइट. एंड नाउ द स्टील कैनिस्टर, द कंटेनर ऑफ मिल्क which he was carrying now, it was heavier than the plastic bag which he would carry on his shoulders. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. क्या डिफरेंस आया कि वो बैग जो था प्लास्टिक बैग, दैट वाज हिज ओन, वो उसका अपना बैग था जिसमें कि वो गंदगी के ढेर में से चीजें उठाता था, प्रेशियस चीजें ढूंढता था. लेकिन अब जो स्टील कनिस्टर वो अपने कंधे के ऊपर उठाकर घूम रहा है, दैट इज नॉट हिज ओन, वो उसका अपना नहीं है. वो किसका है? मिल्क बूथ वाले ओनर का है. द कनिस्टर बिलोंग्स टू द मैन हु ओन्स अ टी शॉप. जो टी शॉप का ऑनर है उसका है वो कनिस्टर. Sahib is no longer his own master. Please underline this line. You have to explain this line in the form of a question sometimes. That Sahib is no longer his own master. No, he was not his own master. वो अपना मालिक खुद नहीं था. So what we have realized that this boy has lost his freedom now. He was working as a servant to the tea owner, to the milk booth. So he has lost his freedom. So in this way, the author notices that expression on his face, that the boy was not having carefree look now. He was worried because earlier he used to roam here and there, wander here and there on the garbage dumps and used to collect the things according to his own desire. He was free to roam here and there and collect everything, whatever he wants, whatever he gets from those garbage dumps. But now he is working as a servant on the milk booth, in the tea stall, and he is having heavy steel canister on his shoulder than the plastic bag, which was light. And though he was being paid 800 rupees regularly, he was getting all his 3-time meal, but he has lost his freedom. See the importance of freedom for these children even. कि whether we are rich or poor, whether we are high or low, the importance of freedom is for all. Now this boy has lost his freedom. He was working as a slave, as a servant for that tea owner. So in this way, Sahib is no longer his own master. Now coming to the next part, that is the second part, I want to drive a car. Before coming to that, let me explain the questions given of the first part. It's better to come with the reading of this part and find out the questions, then we'll discuss it tomorrow. It will be better if you go through this part once again and then we'll discuss the questions tomorrow. Coming to the second part, that is, I want to drive a car. That is again refers to the same category of the children. Here we have another boy who was full of enthusiasm. He had a dream to become a motor mechanic and he wants to drive a car. Mukesh, in the first part we have read about Sahib, who was working as a rag picker, and at the end we have seen that he was working at a tea stall and he had lost his freedom and realized about the importance or the enjoyment of freedom. Now this boy Mukesh, who insists on being his own master, I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. We are told here about the life of the Bengal makers in Firozabad, as we have discussed in the beginning of the chapter, about the second part. This also tells about the fate of these people or the children who are working in these type of dangerous and hazardous industries which are not good for their health. We will read this part and then you will come to know how these children suffer along with their families when they are compelled to work in these type of industries which are very dangerous and hazardous and risky for their health.